Well, good morning, folks, and welcome back to the channel. I do thank you all for watching, and I thank all my subscribers. It is a glorious day the Lord has made, and let me bring you up to speed on what I've been doing out here. Like I said in that last video, I was going to go ahead and get started on the fiberglass mat back here on the deck, and I have started that process. And I started that by just cutting some little small pieces to fit in between the ribs right there, and I'll just get those tucked up underneath there, both sides, get those bonded down, and then we'll move on to the larger sections. And the way I'm doing that, like I said, I'm just cutting little small pieces to fit in between these ribs. It's just a whole lot easier to do it that way and then overlap, you know, the bigger sheets, close that up. It's just easier to do it that way than it is to try to take scissors and cut notches out of the big sheets to try to fit them up around these ribs. This is just the easier way to go about that. Also, like I said, I'm going to try to multitask a little bit here. I've been busy making these little filler pieces right here. I mentioned that in the last video that I needed to make the pieces here for both sides, the little fillers, fill these gaps. And we got that done. We have those shaped, and all I'll have to do is come back and round over the corners later on when I get ready to glass that. So all I have left there is to take this big piece back off and go ahead and cut the pieces off the front there to basically just shape it to the boat. Alright folks, I'm going to get busy doing that. I will see you here shortly. Okay folks, I'm back, and I now have the big piece shaped. And of course I've got to do my final sanding. I went a little bit wide on the corners, and I did that on purpose. Figure you can always take more material off. It's just hard to add it back on if you cut too much. And same here, I went just a little bit wide. That's okay. Sanding block will take care of that. So we've got the initial shape cut on this piece right here, and also have these outboard pieces like I mentioned earlier. Just got those made now. Let's go ahead and just set them in place here real quick while you're watching. And kind of gives you an idea of what it's going to look like. Okay folks, I am back, and like I mentioned previously, I want to go ahead and start laying down the resin so I can get these little fiberglass pieces tacked in over there on those outboard edges on both sides. But before I do that, I was looking at this earlier, and I realized I need to come back with some thickened epoxy and fill up all the gaps. I don't want any gaps underneath that fiberglass mat when I get it laid down. And so we're going to go ahead, fill the gaps, and also filling the corners. Let me show you over here. I'm also going to fill these corners right here. And I'm not going to build them up with a radius. Now, we're not going to put a fillet in there just yet. We'll do that later after the fiberglass mat has been laid down. But I want to go ahead, like I said, get all the gaps filled up with resin. And essentially what that will do, that will just make this like one big large piece of plywood right here. So a little bit time consuming, but again, it's well worth my time. All right folks, I will be back. Okay folks, good morning. I'm back. It is time to start laying down some fiberglass. Okay, I'm back, and it's round 2 fiberglass work, and still got a little bit of prep work to do over there to get that little area ready for that little strip of fiberglass mat right there. And while I've been working on that, I've also been up here working on the forward deck, and again, still have a ways to go. I've been doing the finish sanding and the final fit and finish work on this piece right here. Now, one thing I did go ahead and do is I went on ahead and bonded in this little filler piece right here on the left hand side, and the reason for that is that will help me to index this piece because this piece will be coming on and off multiple times as I sand on it and do all the fit and finish work and do all the prep work underneath here to get this ready to be bonded in. And like I said, this just kind of helps me to position this piece correctly every time. And as you can see right here, I've got alignment marks, and that's to help me position it in this direction. Of course, with this piece bonded in solid, that helps me to position this large piece in this direction. All right, folks, I'm going to get back to work. I will see you here shortly. Okay, folks, I'm back, and wow, that turned out to be kind of a long day there, but I got all my finish sanding done to this large piece on this forward deck right here, as well as all the sanding and prep work for the fiberglass along those outboard edges right there on both sides. And man, it just turned into a sanding marathon, but we got it match sanded to the curvature and to the shape of the boat, and it's almost ready to go on. There's no more sanding or cutting left to be done on the piece. Basically what I've got to do now is cut the holes for the hatches. There's going to be a fairly large sized hatch right in this area here, and then there's going to be a little small round one right here. Got to get those cut, and then of course we got to go ahead and coat the bottom side with resin like I do, just for waterproofing. And the thing that took the longest was right back here. It was hanging over the edge just a little bit right here on this bulkhead. It was probably hanging over by about 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch in places, and that's just because the bulkhead was a little bit wavy. I mean, it's not perfectly straight, and that's fine. I just took my time and match sanded it, and by the time I get this rounded over and get the fiberglass on it, it's going to look fine. You're not even going to notice that little bit of waviness in that bulkhead. And so yeah, that's it. Well, like I said, I'm gassed. I'm tired. We're going to call it a day right there, so we will see you next time. All right, let's keep things moving forward. Okay, folks, that is pretty much it. Now, I do have one spot right there. I'm going to have to come back. I'm going to have to mix up a little bit of thickened epoxy. What's happening, that fiberglass mat did not relax. The edge of it's wanting to curl up, and it does not want to tack down right there in that corner. So I'm going to address that off camera. That is all for now. That side went well, and like I said, I've got one little trouble spot right there I'm going to have to work with here off camera. So I'm going to get that done. I'll be back when all this is finished. Okay folks, I'm back one more time, then we're going to let this stuff cure. And like I mentioned in that previous segment, I had problems with this edge right here wanting to curl, and that's just because of the way they fold this mat when they package it, and it creates a little crease. And every once in a while, wherever that crease is, the material just does not want to lay down. And so I just solved that problem. Like I said, I just mixed up a little bit of thickened epoxy and just applied it to that entire corner and tacked it down. Yeah, that thickened epoxy, if the resin's a little too thin and it doesn't tack off right away, that thickened epoxy, well, that'll take care of that. And that's how I was able to solve that problem. All right, folks, I will be back tonight after this is fully cured. We will see you then. Okay folks, and just like that I am back. Actually, it has been several hours since I laid those pieces down in there, and the resin is now fully cured, and so it's on to the next step. And of course the next step is to get the large center area covered with fiberglass mat, and so we will start that process here tomorrow or maybe the next day. And also we are making progress on the forward deck. And actually, I've got all the fit and finish sanding done on the forward deck right here. I mean, it's pretty much ready to bond in place. Now, we'll need to go ahead and take this back off and take this piece off, get them flipped over, get them coated with resin. I've got to coat the structure with resin. And of course, that is so that we can make them waterproof. You know, I've explained that in the past. That's why I do that. But I think that is a good place to go ahead and wrap up this video. So, with all that said, I do want to thank all of you for watching. I thank all of my subscribers, and as I always say, God bless each and every one of you, and in all things, to Christ be the glory. We will see you next time.